Alright, g'day guys. Welcome again tonight to another Realmworks video. Thought we'd catch up and do a video on how to do a custom or partial export. Something I realized I haven't actually covered yet in previous videos. Custom or partial exports can be quite handy when you want to sort of get a little bit of data out of your realm and give it off to someone else. We're actually looking at doing a big community campaign world project at the moment, and it's the sort of thing that will be very handy in that scenario where you basically got a couple of people working on a little bit of content themselves and then passing that back to be imported into a master realm. So it's actually going to be necessary to do a custom or partial export in that scenario. So let's jump over to Realmworks. Let's have a look at see how it goes. Alright, so in front of me you can see Realmworks. You can see I've got already a copy of the Community Campaign World project. A couple of us are already working on this. The intent will be to share this out with everyone eventually and even get everyone involved if they want to in adding to the content. Just as a bit of an FYI, this is an extension of the Pro Fantasy Community Atlas project. Fantastic community project that's happening over with the Campaign Cartographer 3 crowd. Basically, they've been working on creating their own atlas and mapping it out completely over the last year, and there's just hundreds of fantastic maps that have been shared. And one of the cartographers is a Realmworks user and decided he's going to help us basically out by allowing us to use his maps to create a campaign world. So look out for it. It could be quite exciting, bit of a project that's coming up in the near future. For now though, what we need to focus on is, if someone is participating in this project, or if they've just got their own content and they want to get a custom or partial export out, how do they do that? Now, for anyone who's watched my videos previously or played around with the exporting, you'd know that you go to the Share tab and you do a Manage Exports. There's a couple of tabs here. You can do an export of a whole realm, which will do absolutely everything, including the mechanics side of things as well. But custom or partial is what we really need to do. So, whenever you do an export, you need to create your export definition, and that's usually the first thing I'd do. So, in this case here, I'm just going to call it Realmworks Campaign World. And what I would do in this case, I'd probably give it a name of the area that I'm going to export. So I'll do Aladusis. I'm going to give it a version number. We could fill this out. My intent in this scenario is to basically hand off a little bit of information that I've worked on back to the person who would be doing the master realm. So in this scenario, I will be the one doing the master realm, obviously myself, but in the future you guys could be out there handing me content that I'll load into the master realm. So you don't need to fill in all this information. We're temporary basically, so not really necessary. You put in the name, you put in the version, fill in whatever you want, and you click save. If you are doing an export for the community campaign world, please don't include a source article. We don't need one. But if you are doing your own content, I would suggest you set it up with a source article. Do it all properly. If you don't know what a source article is, maybe have a look at some of the official content that Lone Wolf have put out so far. There's some really good stuff that will show you sort of how that is intended to work. Alright, but once I've saved it, I've got my Realmworks Community Campaign World Aladusis title. I've got a version. I've got it saved. I'm going to give it an abbreviation. We'll give it that as well. And then what I do is I click done and I basically get out of it. So, for anyone who's messed around with exporting before, you'd know that the way it works is it's designed to basically export anything that's got a tag on it. So, let's say we wanted to add this Alexis to it. We'd basically go into the content, we'd open him up, and over here on the right you can see the tags. And we can actually modify the tags by clicking the little toolbar icon and dropping that down and go modify. And we can actually go to the export tag. There it is, and we can see there, Realmworks Community Campaign World. I've done a full one, so there's another one here as well, but we've got this one here. We'll double click that. And you can come over here now and you can see Realmworks Community Campaign World Aladusis. So that tag is now applied to this topic, and that is telling Realmworks that when it runs that export, it basically needs to include this topic. You could do this on the same thing over here. You could do it with a mechanics as well. You just open up a an article and basically come over here and add our tag. Alright, and that would now come across with that view as well. And that's fantastic. If you want to go through and do one topic at a time, if you don't have many to do, that is one way that you can do this. There is a much quicker way though. So, when you're doing custom and partial exports, it's important to understand the topic views and the article views. So I've covered this in a previous video, but basically, you know, the World Almanac and the Mechanics reference are basically two of the parent filters for Realmworks. And obviously, the World Almanac always shows everything that's on the world side. Mechanics always shows everything that's on the mechanics side. Story Almanac is a view that is like a filter of the World Almanac. And you can create as many of these views as you like, and creating one for export can be really quite handy. So what we do is this little button here, the topics view button, next to the mechanics reference big button, you drop that down and you've got a few options. So we can go manage topics, and that gives us a list, or we could just come in here and go create topic view, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a topic called export view. I'm going to give it an icon so I know what it is. I'm going to show it in the ribbon bar. I'm not going to add topics showing the navigation view. I don't want that. That would just add everything that's visible at the time. Alright, click OK. Up the top you can now see I've got a new view. It doesn't open to anything. There's nothing assigned to it yet. But basically that is an export view. It's just an empty filter right now. It's not doing anything. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to Aladusis. And Aladusis is the one that I want to assign to my view. So I'm going to right click and go to assign to view. I'm going to assign to my export view. Also assign contain topics. Yes, I want everything that's underneath to come over. And now if I go to export view, you can see everything is here. Now the reason why I've done this is I've basically filtered on everything that I want to export. And what that means is I can now click on the toolbar icon up here in the search bar, and I can come down to bulk tagging, and I can assign my tag for the export to all of the topics at the same time. Alright, there we go. So if we now have a look at these topics, we can see that the export tag has come over. Alright, and so that's a really quick, easy way to do that. Now notice that that is just for the World Almanac. We do need to do the same thing for the mechanics. Alright, so if I wanted to bring any mechanics over into my export, I'd go to article views this time. I'm going to create article view. Create a mechanics export. I'm going to give it a purple, show in ribbon bar, click OK. I now have an empty view. I'll go back to my mechanics. I want to export, let's say, the viral mutations. So I'm going to assign the danger topics that contains that into that view, and if I now go to this view, you can see that's now there. Alright, so that works quite nicely. And then what we can do is we can go back up to the share button, we can go manage exports, we can do a custom or partial export, and we can see it's all here ready to go. We can click full export and let it go. Don't need any of that. I need to preserve original authorship, yes. I'm going to go, this is a test. Alright, and that's just now exporting. Don't mind Campaign Cartographer running in the background. I'm making some maps for this project and for the Community Atlas project as well. You can see that export is obviously run quite quickly. That's expected given the amount of content that I assign. Alright, and we can see now that basically it's brought me back in. Now if I was to go share and go import, I could import this back in. Now I'm not going to, I don't think. I think that would be a bad idea. Yeah, no, I'm not going to import that back over my content for the sake of the video, because obviously that could do some bad things. So I'll just have to, you guys have seen an import before. The process would be the same. You go import, you point to it, and you go through. but yeah, because I've already got the content in here, there's no point in me doing it for the sake of the video. But yeah, you can see that in my other video that focuses on how to do an import if you need to know how to do that process. I think the nuts and bolts of this video though is how to do that that partial export. So that's all it is, guys. You just need to really understand that the way Realmworks works is it's looking at the tags for what to include into an export. You can see basically that everything else has actually come across in this other export previously. I think it has. I did a full one once upon a time. I call that end cap. So wherever the partial export's coming through, it needs to have the tag on the topic if you want it to export. And the easiest way to add a tag to a topic is to create your own views, and then just right click on what you want to include at the top level and go assign to views. Now if you want to remove something from one of these views, that's also very easy. You can just basically assign to views and untick, and it disappears. Okay, so that's pretty much all there is to it. Partial exports are not difficult, that's for sure. If you are doing partial exports for the Community Campaign World project once it launches, please do only include the parent level of what you've been assigned to and what you're working on, and anything that you obviously change underneath that, and also include your own separate one for mechanics, just because it's going to make it a lot easier to bring these projects over. And don't forget, guys, that, you know, that's the power of Realmworks, is you can basically use this tool to get some community projects going and to share content with, you know, other people that you're playing with. You know, maybe you've got 3 DMs in your group and you want to share some content. It is absolutely possible. I've been doing quite a bit of it. So there we go. That's all there is to it. If you've got any questions, please do leave them in the comments below. If these videos are useful, please do hit the subscribe button. I love to have more subscribers. And if there's more videos that you'd like to see, guys, just yell out and ask, and I'll certainly do my best to make them for you. Apart from that, guys, have a great day, and I will speak to you on the forums.